Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Wednesday meditation gathering. I'm so glad you're all here to share this time together. This week we have Ken Gorman leading us in meditation, and then we're going to have 20 minutes of silence. After that, he'll come back and share some more, and then we'll have uh, plenty of time for sharing and comments, and we end at approximately 10:45. Over to you, Ken.
Thank you, Dan. I just wanted to do a short reading from the Course just to sort of set our meditation. I like this reading because it gives us a sense that God is integral to absolutely every cell in our body and everything, every thought happens, just absolutely everything, whereas the ego is trying to convince us there's a separation. And it's this sense of his all-pervading presence that I think is very powerful and very relaxing in a way, because we know we're being held. So this is from lesson 43. God is my source, I cannot see apart from him. Perception is not an attribute of God. He is in the realm of knowledge. Yet he has created the Holy Spirit as the mediator between perception and knowledge. Without this link with God, perception would have replaced knowledge forever in your mind. With this link with God, perception will become so changed and purified that it will lead to knowledge. That is its function as the Holy Spirit sees it. Therefore, that is its function in truth. In God, you cannot see. Perception has no function in God and does not exist. Yet for salvation, which is the undoing of what never was, perception has a mighty purpose. Made by the Son of God for an unholy purpose, it must become the means for the restoration of his holiness to his awareness. Perception has no meaning, yet does the Holy Spirit give it meaning very close to God's. Healed perception becomes the means by which the Son of God forgives his brother and thus forgives himself. You cannot see apart from God because you cannot be apart from God. Whatever you do in him. Because whatever you think with his mind. If vision is real, and it is real to the extent to which it shares the Holy Spirit's purpose, then you cannot see apart from God.
Open your eyes slowly into the room. And now we'll go back to Ken, who'll continue with his sharing.
Great. I guess normally questions and answers are good if people have things that are coming up for them, and I'm happy to share my perspective. As always, I don't have any truth, but I've been at this for a while, so I have some experiences or stuff with it. I think before that, one thing I was inspired, I guess, because we're in a meditation situation right now, is how much I value meditation. I think a lot of people know I'm part of a Sufi group that because I wanted to go and have a sort of a progressive stage of doing meditation. I'm not sure it's necessary for everybody, which is sort of my thing, and it fit in well with my family. It doesn't. It's a perfect partnership, as all like Buddhist meditation and all that is for the Course. But I think the reason I needed that is I spent a lot of years reading the Course and study. I swear it's thousands of study groups and all that, and intellectualizing it. And it really dawned on me when you go to lesson 360 to 365, it says words will mean little now. And meaning it's implying that we should have learned to meditate without using the words. It implies to me that the Course, where it leaves us off, isn't about words. It's about the experiences of the heart of Holy Spirit coming to us and something different happening. The head is only gets you to the door, but to walk through the door, you're taking a journey of the heart, and it's not about the ego or the intellect and the concepts and all that. And meditation is uniquely able to help us with that, because on a daily basis, we're going back to that place. And my experience, and one of the big teachings that helped me with Sufism, is that when you're meditating and you set the intention is so important, that's our willingness. God is doing the rest. And so if you're sitting there, the fact that your head is spinning round and round on the grocery list or some argument you had with somebody, whatever, is irrelevant. And I remember going to our Sufi sheikh many times and say, but my head is still doing this. And he laughed at me and said, it doesn't matter. You've sat there for 20 minutes or half an hour or whatever and set your intention, and the real healing is being done inside, and your ego can't see it, and it panics and wants to make up a story that the meditation isn't working. But of course it's irrelevant. Like anything, the ego is just blah, blah, blah. You can sit there as long as you've set the intention to have that be what the practice is for. The Holy Spirit will be there. It's not about fixing your thinking, so to speak. I mean, lesson 12, my meaningless thoughts are showing me a meaningless world, should give us some clue. The Course really doesn't value our thinking that much. It uses it as in this lesson I wrote, it just says perception doesn't mean anything. But the Holy Spirit uses perception because that's where we're at. We're in a world of perception. So everything is reused by him. But in the end, it's not really real. What's really real is the experiences. The other thing I found is that there's a lot of resistance. The ego is terrified of this, what it feels like, this giant void that you're stepping into without this identity of the ego. And you just have to relax and let that happen over time. I mean, and we sort of learn to trust it more and more and more. And one of the motivations that helps me for doing this is that when I do give up this body, which for all of us on this call will be within, 70 or 80 years maximum, that's going to have to, the more I've learned to let go and relax and allow to be carried by God, the easier that process is going to be. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, but it helps motivate me that I have a good, bigger reason for doing it. And so, but there is a lot of resistance, and it's just relaxing into that, and also allowing the Holy Spirit to work with me on that. But to me, a big part of my practice now is meditation. It's not learning more stuff. It's just sitting and having the experience, and not needing to have the thoughts and the concepts anymore as my spiritual practice, to have this sense of something happening. So does anybody have any questions that you want to lead us off? I'm happy to share my perspectives on anything, although I have, like I said, I have no truth, for absolute truth, but I do have.
Okay, raise your hand, and if you'd like to ask a question. Okay, Lynn, go ahead.
Oh, right. Thank you, Ken. That was lovely. And I'm so glad you said what you said about the head spinning round and your thoughts spinning round in the head, and it doesn't matter, because at the start of the meditation, I was so concentrated on what you were saying, what the passage that you read. And then as we went into the meditation, I was thinking, now, did he say the knowledge of God is within us? And what did he say about perception being the root, or salvation the root, and perception? And those thoughts are all spinning round and round and round. And then the thought, oh, I'm spoiling this meditation now by trying to remember what you said. So I'm so glad that you said it doesn't matter. You know, just being there, just having the intention was enough. So thank you for that. That's very just insightful. And going back to my thoughts, the passage, is it that we have the knowledge of God within us, but that we don't believe we have that knowledge, and that's where the blocks are, and that's where perception comes in? That's how we kind of undo our belief in the not having the knowledge. I don't know. Can you speak to that, please?
Sure. I don't think it's any of that.
Thank you.
Question. It's a very good question, and I'm being a bit cheeky with my answer, but I'll explain why. I think what really helped me, and again, I go back to what I have to give credit to the Sufi Sheikh I have said, and it just dawned on me. He said, you have two centers of consciousness, or how about this? You have two places that these are all experiences. These are not factual things. These are like, you know, we say tastes like chicken, and someone goes, "Oh, the chemical makeup of that is not really chicken." You missed the point. We're trying to get at something. So this is one of those. So you have two places you can have experience. One is in the head, and one is in the heart. And you know, when you watch a sunset, you know, when you have wordless experience, wow, that's amazing. Or you have an amazing experience, you know, of a roller coaster or something, where briefly your intellect is shut off, or being in love or something. But we're doing it all day long. We have a sense of heart. And you find that even walking around in a body, we're always using our head and our heart. I always say, if someone goes to buy a house, you know, you walk in, you know, with your partner, and you love the house. You're feeling it, aren't you? You know, it's the right this, it's the right that. I like the energy. That's the heart part. And then you have to go and do the head part, which is, can we afford the payments? Is it close enough to the schools? Is it, you see, so there's this constant vying between this sense of things and the calculations we need to do to function in the world, quite appropriately. Well, in spiritual practice, what we're doing is we're taught that actually the heart, and if you anybody read Way of Mastery, he's very explicit on this and says spiritual practice is all about realizing that right now in our society, the head is oppressing the heart, and we give the head more weight, as it were. And it's about flipping those, where we realize we need a head. I got to have some way of doing 2 + 2 = 4 and speak in English, but the heart becomes the master. And he says that's a lot of what's happening in spiritual practice. And so you have these two centers. So once you get that, you go, wait a minute. So I can be doing a meditation, and God can be coming into my heart and cleansing it. Because a lot of what's happening is the blocks are being removed from the heart. Remember in the first paragraph, or the first page of the course, the introduction, this is not a course in teaching the meaning of love. This is a course in removing the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. That's what's really going on. Well, the blocks are not intellectual, right? We don't think our way to enlightenment, if you want to look at it that way. The blocks are in the heart. We can't see them. We can't understand them. And so something can be going on when I sit in practice that my head can't access. It can't see it. And that's okay. And so I just have to trust the teachings. I have to trust the practices that I'm given, that's all happening as long as I continue to exhibit willingness. The ego hates this, and it wants to analyze what's going on. It wants to, but it's a piece of equipment, the ego, the head, and it's very, very limited. You know, to do anything more than 2 + 2, I need a calculator. You know, I can't even drive anywhere other than my house without a Google map. You know, so this head thing ain't all that, but the heart, that piece of equipment, man, that has the capacity to understand the very nature of reality itself and understand the nature of God. Whoa, this is a much vaster piece of equipment. This head thing is really small. Why have I been paying attention to that as some authority the whole time? Now, the Holy Spirit knows that we are doing that, and so enter the Course in Miracles, 500,000 words. Why? Because we give so much credence to this, he had to get credibility. because we think the head is all that. He had to get credibility with the 500,000 words simply to lead us back into that this is really about all the practice. That's why lesson 360 to 365 is so important to me. Where it leads us is words will mean little now. This is not your vehicle. Now, do we come back to the words again? Of course, because it's a spiral learning, right? You come back again and again, and part of the coming back again is somehow the intellectual process supercharges our willingness, right? Because we have to continue to be willing, and we got to be talked into it all the time. And so the words, the study groups, and the discussions like this are really important. And even though they're not the truth itself, they keep the willingness going, but they're not actually the juice of it. The juice of it is in the practice itself. The gym is very similar. The real juice is when you're lifting the weights and running on the treadmill, but you need to read a lot about the gym to keep motivated to going. Oh, wow, this, you live longer and you do this, and that gets you into the gym. But the real juice of it is when you're actually doing the exercises. It's very similar. And so these are always playing off each other. And that's why we have groups, because just like the gym, I can work out at home, but I don't know about you, but I do a lot better workout at the gym when other people are there doing their workouts. It's got the right energy. So that's why Buddha said you need three things to wake up. You need Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. Buddha being the fact that you're already it. There's no transition. You're just removing your misperception. The Dharma is the teaching about that. If no one told you that you were confused, you would just run around forever not knowing it. And the third thing is the Sangha, which is the community of people that support each other in the process. And so Miracle Network is that everybody on this call is vital. If you believe what Buddha was saying, community is very, very important, as is the teaching. But the first thing is the fact that you're already it. And when we're practicing, we're allowing the Holy Spirit by doing, and there's loads and loads of meditations in the course, loads. You don't need to go to a Sufi Sheikh at all. I've been there. I can come back and report to you. It's all in there if we choose to look at it. But the ego is so entertained by the 500,000 words, we tend to de-emphasize the fact that the lessons are riddled with versions of formless meditations that take a concept and take you into a formless meditation state. I mean, that's half the lessons, right? It's all there. So, but that's but you can have confidence. And you have to have confidence, because one thing that occurred to me in my meditation, last point on this, a couple days ago, do you know I have all this guilt? Guilt's like the main problem. And I'm 56, and I'm constantly remembering things I did in my life, and that was good, that was bad, and and all that. God, I got a whole story down there, man, and all the emotions to go with it. Of God, I wish I hadn't done that. And you get these recurring things, and you know what? No matter how much practice I do, I can't remove my attachment to that storyline, and more importantly, the guilt. So you know what? I have to rely on a higher power, from my perspective, to deal with that guilt. So the ego wants to convince us if we just read A Course in Miracles, we can kind of somehow do this on our own. If we just learn enough and do enough and do it, but I'm now up against an obstacle, which is this very deep guilt of 56 years on this planet that I can't do on my own. And I have so much, I better have a higher power that's doing something. Now, I don't know what, it's not good enough to say, well, it's not really real, you're not sinful and all that. I get all that. I'm a course student, but it doesn't feel that way. It's still in there, and so I better have a higher power that's dealing with it. And you go, wait a minute, that sounds very similar to the addiction programs, because that's exactly what somebody'd say an alcoholic would say. I have this thing that's getting me to drink that's in there that I can't control. And we do the steps. And step one is I'm powerless over this, no matter how hard I try. Number two is there's a power greater than me to restore me sanity. Number three is I give my life and my will over to that power. And that's the entire foundation of and by the way, then you have 5, 6, 7, and 8 steps that deal with this guilt by doing inventories and things like that. And basically, when you do an inventory, you write out 800 lines of everything you think you did wrong, give them to God and ask him to take them, and then you move on. So you're back to relying on this higher power. The point of all this is I am not doing this. I am completely dependent on something bigger and stronger and whatever than me. So why am I worried that my mind is busy in my meditation? That's the least of my problems, right? If he isn't doing his job that he promised he's doing, I got bigger problems than a busy mind. But I have to do my part. I have to show up and do my practices. I have to show up and make an attempt to listen to the Holy Spirit throughout the day. I have to make an attempt, to walk this path, The course says free will doesn't mean you set the curriculum. I have to pray and pray that I stay on my curriculum, but he does the heavy lifting. And so I don't really have a lot to worry about. Or on the other hand, the hurdles are completely overcomable. I might as well say, Ken, you need to fly to the Mars to be enlightened, on your own power. It's not going to happen, but he can, and so, and that gets us into a sense of surrender and humility, which I think is what a lot of spiritual work is about. And then now you're worried about your mind being busy. That's the least of your problems. And so he's clearly dealing with that. And so that's a different way of helping get leverage on yourself, not to worry about these things. Show up for your practice, and he's doing what needs to be done in the heart. And it's the heart that takes the journey into the experience of God, right? Because we don't think our way to God. We have an experience. It's much closer to a sunset than it is an intellectual physics course or something, right? So sorry, that's my long-winded answer on that. So
Thank you, Ken. Who has a question or comment?
Can I just say very quickly, thank you so much for all those reminders, especially about the heart. I mean, I think the ego just wants to kind of cling on to this identity. Yeah.
Very gentle.
Thank you.
Okay. Terry.
Geez, Dan. Thank you, Ken. Ken, I've had to really work hard at trying to hear you. I don't know if next time you can come nearer to the screen, so that we can hear your voice a bit more.
Okay.
If that's
sorry.
all right. But it's given me an opportunity to practice attention, and focus my mind as best I can. And I liked what I was hearing, Ken. I was enjoying it. Nothing to do, nowhere to go. Just keep coming back. And I think if we can keep it that simple and set our mind, here I am, Lord. When we come back, here I am. Here I am. And, legs will walk, minds will wander. Keep coming back. And not beat ourselves up when our minds wander, because they do, it's the nature of the mind. But you're right, we set that intention. We make that commitment to show up. And when we show that willingness, it is done for us. I'm convinced of that. So thank you, Ken.
Thanks, Terry.
Anyone with a question or a comment? David, do you want to share something?
Did you say David?
David, do you want to share something?
Oh, I didn't know I put my hand up. I was thinking of it, and then I was thinking of not doing it because during the beginning of the meditation, I'm very restless, and I was trying to remember the name of someone, so I decided to look through my contact list. And Jane next to me said, "Why don't you just give it a go?" And I said, "Well, I'm doing what I'm doing." And as I was going through my contact list, I just seen all these people that I didn't know who they were, or why is that person still in my contact list? I don't talk to them anymore. And at that point, at some point, I decided to bless everybody as I was going through the list. And then then I remembered what something Eckhart Tolle said about you just being there and turning up. And then, thank you, Ken, I heard you saying the same thing. And it really, with all my anxiety and all my worries and my mind jumping all over the place, I'm still here. I turned up, and like Terry just said, just keep coming back. It works if you work it, so work it, you're worth it. I'm out.
Yes, exactly.
Anyone else for a question or comment? Oh, it's a quiet group today. Okay, we'll come to the end now, and take yourself off of mute and say thanks to Ken. That was wonderful. I really appreciate it, Ken. Beautiful.
You can.
Thanks, Ken.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye. God bless. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you.